event alert.
Drop your badge and grab your badge because you are late for Changeover, your weekly space news and variety show. I am Marty Smith, your host, and I'm joined by Mr. History, Eric Brock.
Woo, the animals have been released.
Our man in the lilac closet, Jake Wall.
Spoils of a wonderful walk.
And Juanito Lopez.
President accounted for it. That's all I got.
We're here to bring you the latest headlines and updates pertinent to all Guardians and to the other branches below us. So take your seats, get informed, and have a laugh as we present Late for Changeover. I thought maybe you would hit some kind of Spanish thing, but nope. Well, you got Ola. We got Ola from you last week. Right?
Yeah.
I am reminded of the old Michael Douglas movie, Romancing the Stone. Remember Romancing the Stone? Did you ever see
that was
Romancing
good
the
one.
Stone?
Yeah,
Right?
I did.
Yeah.
When they went down south and they were in trouble and they went to the drug dealer's house, right?
Yeah.
And that guy had his little mule, Pepe.
Yeah. I wanted to show you the other field.
And I thought, and I asked Juan this week, I was like, hey, you got a nickname I can introduce you with or something like that? And he was like, Juanito. And I was like, okay, Juanito's cool. I was hoping it'd be Pepe. So he'd be our little mule Pepe, right?
Yes.
Maybe be a little mule Juanito. So
Juanito.
all right, Eric and Jake and Juanito. I have a security forces story for you. So I had to go in
No
to
space tonight.
I had to go into debrief, right, to get out of the SCI. So I go into Buckley and I show them my ID card and they're like, hey, this is deactivated. And I was like, I just got it in January. What are you talking about? It's deactivated. And this was the civilian guy, right? And so here comes the E4 over, the female E4. And she's
Check
like,
you
what?
out, man.
And so she scans it. First thing I notice is that little scanner has about a mile of duct tape on it, right? Because they have beat the shit out of this thing.
Of course.
It's been dropped so many times. Like quick drawed.
Right.
Oh,
The
shit.
whole
Quick draw.
bottom is red tape. And I
That's
was like,
because they're practicing with it as a taser, right? Here's
what,
how
are
I
they throwing
tase
it at the
something.
guy or what?
They're playing Johnny Fuck Around, trying to blind each other.
So she zaps it. She's like, yeah, this is your ID is showing as deactivated. She goes, come out here and pull around. And so I pull forward and I loop around. And she gives me my ID back. She goes, you got to go to the VCC. I was trying to make it to the debrief that I had 10 minutes to get to, right? And so she hands it back.
This is
So
your
she-
retiree card or your contractor card?
This was my retiree card, right?
Oh, wow.
And so she gives it back, and she goes, you're going to have to go to VCC to get back in here. And I was like, fuck. And this is what she does. She's walking away, and she goes, what was that? And I was like, oh, come on. I'm pissed. I'm not pissed at you. I'm just pissed because I got a meeting in 10 minutes.
In general.
I am about to slap it on
And
you,
she
baby.
gave me that. She goes, what? And I said, fuck, because I'm mad. And then she kind of faltered and she's like, okay. And she watched me as she walked away. What are you doing, security forces? You going to arrest me for that? Jesus.
You better watch your attitude, Marty.
Fucking you
Watch
power
your
hungry
attitude.
branch, man. You're just all it's crazy
Yep.
over there, right?
Yeah.
You'll call
You know,
me sir.
And she's acting all tough right next to the plexiglass that the cops have let melt because of the space heater was too
Yeah,
close to it in the
exactly.
winter. And I'm like, yeah, you guys are wired tight
We
with
are
your
far
red
from
tape
Perfect.
and all that imperfection you take out on the customer.
That's right. I'm surprised she didn't go, oh, I also need to see your registration and your license, please. Oh, you don't have one.
Right.
Ooh.
But
I'm
this was-
surprised Marty didn't say. I'm surprised he didn't say whether her her scanner was deactivated. Just
Well,
based on the description.
how am I going to dispute it, right? Well, she's just going to turn me away anyway.
And what did the VCC do? Just give you a pass?
This was the weird thing. This is the first time I've been in a VCC in a decade, right? So I go in there. I got my insurance. I got my registration, all my cards, and I'm like, "Fuck, this is going to take forever." And I'm like, "Okay, I need a vehicle pass." She goes, "We don't do vehicle passes." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "We just write you a pass." I was like, "What?"
Oh.
And she goes, "Yeah." And she takes my ID card and she scans it and she goes, "Okay, here's all your information." I was like, "Did my card just scan on yours?" She goes, "Yeah, it shows everything." I was like, "They just told me it didn't." She goes, "Our systems aren't connected." And I was like,
Oh my goodness.
"And
Was
we
she a
want to
cop?
go to the moon."
Was she a cop? Was she a cop in VCC?
No,
as well?
I don't know. I don't know who works in the VCC.
Yeah,
Well, most of them were cops, but they also
they're
had
cops,
civilians.
but they're the broken ones, right?
Yeah,
They're all
that's right.
like
They're the
literally
broken
the one. Seriously, I'm not saying anything
The ones on
horrible about
profile?
No, man,
it. Yeah,
not
the ones
always.
on profile, the ones that are on naughty. There's like 2 poor NCOs that are in charge of all this bullshit.
You're pregnant? You get VCC
Yeah,
duty for the next 6 months.
Or they're
Broken
absentees.
ankle, VCC.
Oh, you guys are killing me here, man.
No,
Oh.
Eric, what would you do with your pregnant airman?
Put her ass to
Yeah.
work. She's humping, baby.
Oh my
No,
god!
literally, she was. That's what literally.
Well,
yes,
that's what
proven.
got her in trouble.
But
Yeah, that's true.
Post humping. That's what we're asking. Post the
Talking
fornication.
about marching. No,
Oh,
marching.
You walk up to to month 8.5.
I have a feeling that Sergeant Rock up here is probably a big softy at heart, though. You know,
No.
Sergeant
No.
Perrott.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
He would
6
buy
months
them
now.
their first pair of profile shoes.
I will
Here's your
admit,
New Balances.
I will admit the young lady with the tattoo of the shield on her back, I'd make her stand the other direction.
Now, speaking of tattoos, Jake, you had an
That
interesting
real.
thought, right?
Yeah.
What was that thought you had about tattoos that you wanted to
I was saying, we saw that reel where that cop groupie got the shield tattoo.
Force. Was she a groupie or was she in?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Which
she has
one is
defenders.
worse? Which one is worse? Though?
I don't know which one is. Groupie is worse, I think. Actually, groupie is
Well,
worse.
a groupie, you have more justification than if you're in and you get branded that way. You're like, you love security force. You're going to retrain
No.
out of this thing in 3 years. What are you talking about?
No.
No, man. Come on. 22 right here.
But
Well, that's
But I've
true.
not
I mean,
seen
to retrain out of the
hardcore.
cops, are you going to retrain up? I mean, it's like, what else are we going to
that's
put
a
you?
lot of work.
You're going to put you in Space Force at some tournament.
Ah,
But that's the
What
thing,
do?
right? Nobody has a Space Force tattoo. Every Marine, like, you're not a Marine unless you got the Eagle Glow and Anchor or the USMC tattooed
True.
somewhere.
Amplify. Yeah.
Yeah, Semper
And
Fi. Something.
Army is just sleeved up nowadays. You know, they're just
Oh.
fucking, they're sleeved up.
But what specific career fields? Like, oh, you got that tattoo? I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
if you were, I don't know, services, I'm not seeing services having a big community of.
Well, they got cross
Oh.
spoons,
Exactly. But
cross buffers,
ammo and IIS
ammo.
tattoos.
Yeah, sure. Maintenance
Ammo,
probably
I
has
could-
one. Yeah.
Maintenance,
Yeah.
cops, obviously.
Yeah. Right.
What
But
other
here's-
career fields are big on that though?
In the Air Force or Space Force?
Yeah.
Or,
Or military.
well, that's true.
Well, wait a minute. Would you want to put Space Ranger on your fucking arm? Come on, man.
I'll show you.
It sounds so corny. Space, like Space Ghost or something right out of the cartoon.
Here's
I
my
agree.
Space Ghost.
here's my supposition. I bet there are more women in the Space Force tattooed than men in the Space Force.
Oh, man.
I have no,
No,
way,
I'm
to,
talking
I have no
about-
way to prove that, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
bet there are
probably,
more
like-
women with tattoos, like behind the ear, on the ankle, you
Yeah.
know, lower back.
But
you know.
I
Was
was
it gonna be the
referring to
Delta?
like
Or-
Space Force, like career field specific.
No,
tattoos,
you're right.
right?
Yeah, you're right. Sorry to
I don't see a
throw that
lot.
off.
No, the
Space.
one thing I do see is not tattoos, but it's like the car stickers. I see people with their rank on
Oh,
like
yeah.
I don't know
either
why
they're retired or
why he's
whatever.
still doing it.
I
Yeah.
always see a lot of people that flash that rank everywhere, especially
I'd
more
say-
on the enlisted side.
I tell you, when I came back from jump school in '87, right? I was proud of myself. I got through fucking jump school, so I got
6
one of
years old.
those. I got one of those decals for the window, right?
Yeah.
And I put it in my window in the car. I was like, "Fucking A!" And as soon as I pulled in, these guys who 2-3 years senior to me, they're like, "Are you fucking serious with that goddamn jump wig?" I was like, "Oh!" And that night I was like, "Scrape, scrape, scrape." They shamed me so bad. I was like, "Oh, forget it. I'm not proud anymore." You're right.
So you should have done it when you retired. After you retired, then it's cool.
Well, sure.
So
Sure.
people know your background. Then it's cool.
I mean,
that,
I
that
seen
might
the-
be the only time it's moderately acceptable in my mind.
I have seen the
Oh,
rear window stickers
Space Wings on their cars.
on trucks that have like the decorations. Have you seen those?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Or
that's,
better yet, their plate is representative of a decoration, a bronze star, or a.
well,
you
that
know,
was.
silver
I mean, you
star.
earn that shit. I get.
Well, I
that.
know, but
Yeah.
it's still not something that I would think of putting on a license plate. I really wouldn't. I would.
Right.
I mean, that's not me.
You'd put the double bicep on you.
Now that
No.
a picture of me, yeah,
If
maybe.
they had the Arnold Mystery Olympia,
That's
hell
right.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I
Now,
think
who-
that. Go ahead, one.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that I think we should revisit, or if we can get anybody to comment on what Jake's idea was about which is it
Oh, yeah.
AFSCs or which
Either
AFSC
AFSC.
would have
mean,
a
you
nurse
see it-
tattoo?
SFSC for Space Force.
Yeah,
Space
right.
Force Specialty Code. Yeah.
Combat
now's-
infantry. That one's probably a
Oh, like a
CIB
CIB.
boys?
your
Yeah.
infantry.
CIB.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
that's probably a real popular one.
Big.
Oh, CIBs. Yeah, that's.
And if it's got the wreath representing they've been in actual combat, right?
Yeah.
well, that's a
Yeah.
CIB. If it doesn't have the wreath, it's an expert infantry badge without the wreath.
Oh, I did not know that.
So
I
there's
thought
a
they were all
course.
CIBs.
Yeah, there's a course to go through to earn your infantry badge or your expert infantry badge. So if you go through that course and you're not in combat, you get the blue rifle or the rifle on the background of blue. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
If you do the course and you've gone to combat, then you get the wreaths
All
around
right.
it.
I thought
So
they
it's
were
the
all
difference.
CIBs. Just one was.
No, one's an
Combat,
EIB. It's an
Got it.
expert infantry badge or a CIB combat infantry badge.
Gotcha.
So,
Well, it's funny that you're talking about these devices because I think also like they were talking about medals in the Space Force, right? And like, how are you going to justify these
conduct
other
medal.
medals that
Yeah.
are out there? You know, there's a combat designation and stuff like that, but
right.
like,
Right.
I could see why other military services get pissed off. They're like, okay, what'd you really do for this medal?
Well,
Especially when you're
bleeding into one of the
being given
stories.
Bronze Stars.
And
Yeah.
that bleeds into one of these stories. So table that because I want to hit that exact point. All right, when we come back. But good to see you guys. Good to drink and do stories with you. So
Oh yeah.
now for the news. The news, right? The big news
Welcome to
was
the news.
yesterday, right? I was even tuned into NASA. So Boeing's Starliner was supposed to launch yesterday at 6:30 or so Mountain Time. So I turned the live feed
Did
on.
the door fall off?
Well,
That's right. Supposed to launch 20
Starlight.
years ago.
And a longtime employee unfortunately committed suicide.
How did
Starliner,
that happen?
success.
so when I turned on that live feed about 6:15, right, and then, and they're doing their just killing time thing, and I look at the launch timer, and I was like, this thing is supposed to go in like 15 minutes. Why is it 2 hours and 30 minutes up there counting down? I was like, they must have found some fucking problem, right? And so I was like, okay, good. I don't have to sit and watch this for research for the pod. And then 10 minutes later, I saw it come up on the feed. It was like, oh, Starliner scrubbed. So It was supposed to launch. Yeah, it was supposed to be their big first manned launch for Boeing Starliner. And I'm not impressed with the way Starliner looks.
No.
Have you seen it? It just looks like an oversized capsule.
Yeah. It doesn't look like the X-Boys.
Right. So they, yeah, that's true. And that's, so it waved off its first launch attempt on Monday due to a problem with an oxygen relief valve on the Centaur stage on the Atlas V. So NASA posted that out on X. However, there's a little bit of article here.
Too much estrogen.
Well, you'll never get an insider from Boeing to tell you what's going on with it, right?
Nope.
Boeing's Starliner capsule, when it does launch with astronauts, will join a very exclusive club. United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket was supposed to launch Starliner and its 2 passengers, NASA astronauts Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore, from Florida's Cape Canaveral Space Force Station today, or Monday. Sorry, it was their mission when they do launch will will start a 10-day shakeout cruise to the ISS, the International Space Station. That will be Starliner's first ever astronaut mission. So, such crew debuts to Earth orbit have happened just 5 times in American history. Which is
more than that.
So, but just 5 new vehicles is what they're talking about.
Now, before you continue, I saw 4 astronauts being interviewed on the Today Show, and I thought those were the 4 that were going on Starliner.
No, they're only sending 2. I think they got 2 and 2 backups.
Okay, then I must be thinking it must be the X guys, SpaceX, because those guys were actually going up to test.
Oh, those guys are going up on Starship. That's what I'm saying. We can't get any more creative names than Starliner.
Yeah. They're creating a new astronaut suit and they're evaluating it.
I was all excited. Cool. I was going to bring that to the podcast because they had this whole video of look at the new NASA suit.
Yeah.
And I was like, it wasn't much.
It's rubber boots like the ones.
Yeah, it wasn't much.
Marty, Velcro goes this way, not this way. 1.4 million justified.
I wonder that must have been what they paid for that video because it was classy. It was lighted and music in the background. I was like, wait for it. Oh, it's over. And I was like, well, that was pretty boring. That was boring.
Oops.
Zipper goes both ways.
You can zip it up or you can zip it up down from here.
Mm-hmm.
NASA Chief Bill Nelson noted during a press briefing that, quote, the first time NASA astronauts have flown on a new spacecraft started with Mercury, then with Gemini, then with Apollo, then Space Shuttle, then Dragon, and now Starliner. Still waiting on the Starliner part, which I think they rescheduled that launch for the 17th. All right. Now, here's where all the guys from SpaceX are just sitting back like, look at Boeing.
Rookies.
Dragon is a capsule built by SpaceX, which, like Boeing, won a contract from NASA's Commercial Crew Program back in 2014 to carry agency astronauts to and from the ISS. The goal was to get at least one American crewed vehicle up and running as soon as safely possible in the wake of the Space Shuttle's 2011 retirement, which left NASA completely dependent on Russian Soyuz spacecraft for crew transportation. That's crazy. For 6-7 years, we would be like, hey, can we go up can we get a ride?
We were behind the power curve for sure.
Can your mom give us a ride to the moon?
It was a good thing we were friends at that.
No shit.
Friends at that time.
Yeah. Not so much now.
Nope.
But SpaceX launched its version of CFT called Demo 2 back in May 2020. Elon Musk company has since completed 7 operational astronaut missions to the station, and it's in the middle of its 8th, while Boeing is like, oh, scrub it.
Done. Choking.
As that record shows, SpaceX has proven to be a reliable and prolific partner for NASA, but the agency is still excited to get a second American astronaut taxi online. And the government, NASA's probably wants to do that so they can barter price against each other.
Well, honestly, would you truly fly on Starliner after Boeing's attempt at airplanes? Jesus Christ. Tires, tails, wings, doors.
Everything.
Come on, man.
Imagine, I feel like those astronauts are going to be holding on to that door as it gets up in space. All right, he's hold on to this.
Bungees, man. They got bungees going.
It's going to launch like the Martian. All this shit's going to fly up, and they're like, holy shit, look at this.
Just a skeleton. Just
I couldn't do it, man. I wouldn't get no Boeing craft. No.
Well, ideally, this video will show you what it was kind of supposed to do. So it's a slick video by ULA. Right?
They got their little logo out there, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. You're right.
Ascent begins at T-0, liftoff, the end of the countdown, and the beginning.
Man, the graphics are outstanding.
Shortly afterwards, at T+12 seconds, the rocket rolls.
I mean, look at that.
looks like Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh, good pull, Jake.
Then, around T+40 seconds, max Q starts. That's also
Max
known as max
Q.
aerodynamic pressure. This is a critical time.
I think my favorite of all these terms now is Miko.
Next, at about plus 1 minute 35 seconds, the two solid rocket boosters run out of fuel and burn out. And about a minute.
Oh, no more
later, they
thrust.
separate from the
Oh, as you watch this video, I want you to think space junk. Okay, I forgot to remind you of this. So
More debris.
Yeah. Because Boeing doesn't know how to bring their stuff down.
they can't even get it up. But watch, okay? So because as you watch this shit, I'm thinking space junk because we've done so many stories on it, right?
boosters run out of fuel and burn out. And about a minute later, they separate from the booster. The Atlas booster engine continues to burn. For
Maybe those will
almost 2 more
recover,
minutes.
like the shuttle.
Then
was,
at
right?
approximately plus 430, booster engine cutoff or BECO.
BECO.
About 5 seconds
That's
later,
not my
the
favorite.
booster separates, and so does the ascent cover on top of Starliner. At around 4 minutes,
See,
45
there's more
seconds,
trash.
The Centaur upper stage ignites, continuing the push to orbital speeds. Then a little after 5 minutes, Starliner is free
More
of the
junk.
atmosphere and doesn't need
More
additional
junk.
aerodynamic support, and the aeroskirt is jettisoned. After a long 6+ minute push from Centaur, main engine cutoff or MECO happens around
MECO.
12
Oh, Miko.
Then, when Centaur successfully separates almost 15 minutes
More
after
junk.
launch, ULA's job is done. But Starliner is not quite in orbit yet. After a
lot of
16-minute
junk.
coast,
Now that's cool that they got the
Starliner
little
makes
engines
full of its orbital maneuvering and
Yeah.
attitude control, or
After
OMA
31 minutes, the
before
astronauts
the
fly out of the
orbital
capsule.
burn, and then 31
Well, not now.
minutes off,
Right? There's no forces on it now.
31 minutes, the surprise event happened.
And the astronauts become more junk.
Oh my God.
Oh, that was a good one. That was dark. I like
Hey, you
it.
like that one? Yeah, thanks. So that's what it was supposed to do. And like I said, they're still working on the Centaur valve, trying to figure that one out. So I think the earliest they can look at is the 17th.
I can't imagine Boeing stock price is worth a shit right now.
They're fighting a lot of stuff. Boy,
I'm
right?
telling you, man.
Yeah.
How can you have not that we do these kind of stories, but how can you have two whistleblowers?
Oh yeah,
Bye.
I mean, this is
hardcore.
This is like Clinton work. You know, I mean, it's like,
It-
boy, they both suicided themselves. How does that happen? Anyway,
yeah, I don't.
I feel uncomfortable all of a
Even
sudden.
gonna
if it
paint it
was a
pink.
coincidence or not, or even if it was all 100% above board, that's
Very
still
odd.
Pretty
Yeah, for both of those
pretty
guys to be hooked
rough
to one of those. This
situation.
is what they write movies on, man. This is
Yeah.
you know. So anyway,
Comes out of the basement. It's a hidden
it'll be
story.
interesting. We'll be following that, and we'll bring it to you live if it happens
We'll
between
be following that.
8:15 and 9:15 on Tuesday. So
Oh, are we gonna have a live show while it launches? That'd be
actually, we
awesome.
did.
could
Actually, we
Skype each-
did on a totally spur of the moment run. Remember that one?
I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Mike Johns brought it up. He's
Brought
like,
it
"Hey,
up.
they're launching now." I was like, "Fuck, let's watch it." So That was pretty cool. That was pretty
Yeah.
cool. But most of our stuff is taped. So anyway.
Nah.
Okay, I've got a. This is good. This is good on these guys, and I don't want to take anything away from them, but I have issues with it. However,
Historically, being Army and then Air Force.
no,
In Air Force Space.
Ah,
I'm
No.
just giving
biased,
the
a
audience
little biased.
perspective
Fair.
I'm just remembering something.
on what
Marty.
his first
I
love is.
remember on Crew, you looked at Captain Beaumont at the time because he had jump wings. I remember you hitting him up and saying like, "Oh, where'd you get that?" The Academy. He's like, "No, I was in the Army," and then you totally shut up. You're like, "Oh,
that doesn't sound like me at all.
I know because you were about to start digging in them." Digging into him,
I
and
don't
then that's
dig
when
in
you
it.
found out he was prior enlisted. Army.
because the guys at Academy get wings for. It's not even the same. But anyway, I don't think that's
Yeah.
accurate. One, I don't think
But-
you're.
But
not
what if
correct.
he would have said, "Yeah, Academy"? Guaranteed you would have.
I would have said, "Oh, got a couple." I don't
Noted.
know.
Noted.
Noted. Yeah,
thought it said
he would have
Academy.
sprinkled hate with his eyes. It was like, oh.
Academy.
I would have good.
Oh no, but I don't know why. I'm remembering that now that we're getting on the subject. Like I remember
Good
you
on you.
asking
Nah.
about his jump wings.
Juan, you were young back then. You might be. Yeah, I'm not sure.
My memory was just too good.
So even though NASA's launch was delayed, we have more significant Space Force news from military.com. Meet the first space cowboys, they call them. 3 Guardians complete an arduous Army Cavalry Spur Ride. All right. 3 Space Force Guardians traveled to Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas to complete an Army Cavalry Spur Ride, a series of arduous combat tests and physical training exercises in which service members often ruck march in between challenges. That's a horrible description of what it is. But the Cav, right? All the different versions of the Cav, they all have what's called a spur ride, and it's like a 2-day thing. It's pretty intense. It's pretty challenging. But they make it so you can you earn the spurs and the Stetson.
Yeah.
Right? It's pretty cool, right?
That's an idea.
What
That's
about
a
the
great
belt buckle, right?
I don't know. You're right.
the
There is a
US.
belt buckle. I'm not sure if that's part of the whole package or if that's the officer thing or whatever. But when I was in the Army in Fort Hood, Texas, they had an officer pub. The club was called a pub. It was awesome. I mean, this was back when, and Fridays was all off base. Everybody was there. And there were 2 divisions there. There were 2 divisions right there.
Two divisions.
There was a 2nd Armor Division, which I was, and then there was a 1st Cav Division, which was way higher on priority list of Army divisions. So it was like the poor high school and the rich high school, and they were both on the same base. And you would go to the O Club, and you're like, "Oh man, it's hopping here tonight," and in come these guys with cavalry hats and spurs, and you're like, "We're toast." How do you compete with that? How do you compete with these guys, right?
So the hat and the spurs, is that like you earn it, but you only wear it for like morale events or like how? Like
It's certain wear. It's like dining outs or dining ins, and then certain other events that they mandate, and of course, apparently the officers club, so you can wear it there.
It's
too.
only in a certain uniform, right?
Fuckers. Yeah,
Or is
and the commander will deem it. They don't just strut around with it all the time. So it's a dress thing. It's badass. It's like I said, it's very hard to compete with.
The
'cause
first
it's the
time I saw
Custer
it,
hat, man, it's so good.
Yeah, I thought that was like an alternate uniform. The first time I saw it on an
Yeah.
Army guy, I was like, "What the
Yeah.
hell is this?"
Um,
Because he had his service or whatever the Army version service dress is.
did he have
And
the
then
belt on the
boots and
outside of
friggin'
the
hat? Yeah, he had the belt on the outside of the coat, and I was like,
Damn good looking.
"What
I've
is
seen a
this
couple guys
vintage shit?"
get married in them.
Oh yeah, that's a big
Yeah.
one. So
That was pretty well.
well, let me do
That's
this
probably a popular tattoo.
Spurs and hat. Yeah.
right. Yeah,
The
yeah.
spurs and
hat.
hat, or the
Yeah.
first Cav shield.
Yeah.
That's a good looking patch, man.
Yeah.
Captain Bradley Evans, an engineer at White Sands Missile Range, First Lieutenant Jordan Savage, an acquisitions officer at Space Systems Command in Los Angeles, and First Lieutenant Jackson Jennings, a Space Force developmental engineer, were the three Space Force officers who became the first Guardians to earn their spurs and Stetsons and the nickname Space Cowboys.
And you're never going to wear that shit.
I absolutely like. I might have been on their side until the Space Cowboys bullshit.
I know. I hear you. So that's First Lieutenant Jordan Savage, part of this spur ride. So
With his Star Trek emblem on his arm. Beam me up, Scotty.
that's
Beam me up.
Actually, I that's not even the official one. That looks like some
That's one of the Deltas.
some specialty ones or something like that. But what is a spur ride, right? It's what the Cav does. And it's different. There's no mandatory set thing. This isn't like Ranger School or Jump School or any of those schools. We'll make it 36 hours. We'll make it really tough. You won't sleep. You do a lot of road marching and just a lot of hazing, right? Remember, you're just getting a hat and spurs. So I found a video that's like only a minute and a half long. I think it was in Korea of this Cav unit doing their spur ride.
I guarantee if you try to do this by yourself,
This was like in
you will
2019.
fail.
So.
I guarantee that you are going to lean on the troopers
that
to the left and right.
He should take the flare off it.
That's well camouflaged there, baby.
And this is in Korea, Eric. I think they did it with some rock troops. That hurts my knees just watching that going down. See the cherry blossoms? So it's in Korea.
That soundtrack gets me jazzed up.
Yeah, doesn't it though?
You gotta get out of the plane. Ah!
Watch this girl.
This has nothing to do with horses.
Nothing at all.
I haven't
Neither
seen
do
a
those
single
water
one.
cans. You know,
Put your gas.
well, I don't know why I cut off there, but basically he yells, "You ain't Cav," and they yell, "You ain't shit." So
I like that though. The calf hats are cool.
yeah, they're very cool. So they completed it, and good on them. You know, I don't wish them any ill will.
What's the washout rate?
Not much, really. It's kind of like you're going to get it after a couple of years, but we want to make it sort of earn it.
I like it. I like it, honestly. It's just a good bit of fun.
It's kind of like a fraternity.
And you're in the
hazing.
fraternity.
They're really not intending to kick you out.
Yep.
You know?
I like it.
I'm just curious how it's going to look with that Space Force uniform if they allow them to wear it.
Well, these guys will push, right? They'll be like, "Hey, I earned this."
Yeah.
And you're like, "You'll be the only one at the space ball with the fucking cavalry hat." And they're like,
dude, I would put him with a lasso
belt.
too. Just
Oh my God! Come on.
Can you imagine the belt on that Space Force bellhop
Oh,
uniform?
yeah.
Meanwhile,
right.
back at Space
You got
Force,
buttons down
3
here.
guys are lacking and not doing their fucking job.
Well, that's where I have a little bit of an issue with it, right? But let me finish this story out. So, earning your spurs is a long-standing tradition that dates back to the early days of the Army Cav, when new soldiers had to prove their skills in swordsmanship and horseback riding. Even though the U.S. military is changing, including the addition of the Space Force and its Guardians, those traditions are still upheld through rigorous physical challenges and training. Participating in and completing the Army Cav Spur Ride marks the latest frontier. See, this is where I start to have the issue. Marks the latest frontier that the Space Force's men and women have conquered. Last month, 2 Space Force Guardians became the first in the service to graduate from the Army's Drill Instructor Academy at Fort Jackson in South Carolina. How were they doing it before? What were they doing before?
They went. Space Force has
Air Force.
Air Force drill
yeah.
instructors.
Yeah.
Right. So why did they
And they're
send
in the
these two
Space
guys
Force.
to the Army Drill Instructor Academy?
Why couldn't they go to Air Force instructor school?
Right.
Wait,
Right.
wait. So alternately, does the Marine do any of this crap? The Marine Corps? Do they send their guys to freaking
Hey,
Army
these are the
or Air
first
Force?
Marines to graduate from the Army's drill site. And they're like, what? Why?
Like, why?
That is an excellent point, Jake. Excellent point.
The only time I see inter service with the Marines is like senior NCOA or something like that.
Well,
But
now
that's
Yeah.
professional development. Yeah.
I went to artillery school at Fort Sill, and both Army and Marines go to the same artillery school.
Well, and the Marine
Marines
Corps
don't have a-
MPs
Oh,
came
do
to
they
our
do?
school.
Okay.
They did back in my day. They
Yeah,
did back.
yeah.
I don't know if they have a separate school now, but
Right.
the MPs went to the SP freaking tech school.
And that's probably expedience. I mean, we're all doing the same tasks, you know. Like Marines don't have any money anyway, so it's like we can't. But then they go, why do we get these Space Force guys at our drill school? You know,
That's the thing. Is there a reason for the Marines to go to those schools?
No,
Because they're
you're
using it in their
correct.
real world job.
I mean, Marines.
Is there a
don't have
reason
to-
for the space nerds to go to those schools?
No.
That's my question.
No,
Well-
but I bet you
wait.
the argument was let's see how other services do it and see what we could take from them.
That sounds like a Kevin Balcom,
Yeah.
who believes the best in people. That sounds like a Kevin
Yeah.
Balcom argument.
Yeah.
Very good one. You're doing what your supervisor had told you to.
Lesson
But
learned.
well, before I get
But-
into that,
Marty's gonna shit on your
but-
story.
and last year, Space Force Guardian Captain Dan Reynolds graduated from Ranger School. Now, all that stuff, badass. You know, I mean, you're physically gifted to do that. I get it.
Operational missions? Never. I
That's
get a
right.
tab.
That's
Never.
right. I know. But now, in all fairness,
I think it's
there
just
are-
establishing heritage. See, we're a real service branch. We're real. That's all it
They,
is.
they need
We got a
something for the
ranger.
history books.
We got a freaking Cav. We got freaking
A ranger.
The problem I have with all this, and you guys have all hit on it, is that there's this propaganda that's being like forcefully pushed. Like, you gotta accept the Space Force. Look, we're graduating from Army Drill
Yep.
School. We're getting our spurs. We're going to Ranger School. But what? But
We're
you know who's not doing any of that shit? The guy who's sitting crew.
Right.
You know, it's like, look, who went to Ranger School? Captain Dan Reynolds, right? Now, he was with 4th SOPS or 4th Space Control Squadron, I think, or Delta 4, one of those two. He's down there in Springs. The other 3 guys, one from LA Acquisitions, 2 other engineers. He's like, okay. So it's like we gotta celebrate any Space Force achievement, which is back to write me an award on these guys. It's like they didn't do anything. I need to give them an award. It's like, what?
But even the first year the Space Force was established, they were celebrating first ever everything.
Everything.
It wasn't really first ever. No, it wasn't first ever because
Right.
the Army did it first. Then the Air Force did it. Oh, and all of a sudden it's first ever because now we established a new branch. No, it's like, okay, yes, technically the Space Force is doing it for the first time. Maybe that's the way they should write it. Oh, for the first time the Space Force is doing this. But it's not first ever.
You know, Juanito, they need to do one of those Modelo commercials for the Space Force. They're like, oh, these guys don't quit.
It's a Modelo
That's the
commercial.
spirit of Modelo, the spirit of the Space Force, right? Which Modelo ran out of topics very fucking fast on those commercials.
Well, they had that. They had the astronaut on one of the Modelo.
Yeah, they had
the-
him. They had
yeah.
Tony Munoz, the offensive lineman. They had a couple of the fighters, one of the female fighters,
UFC
and now
fighter.
they're like, oh, that's it. That's all we had. I
Or
thought we had
CP,
hundreds of these. They're like, no, we had 7.
You know, back
Which
in my
one do you
day,
like?
We
And then they did the guy who airbrushed cars, and they're like, this guy? It's like, yeah, that's all we got.
And
We
the barber,
did
they
do-
got the barber too.
we did do inter-service requests for schools, right?
Yeah.
Sure, but that was going to enhance your
Bingo.
mission, right?
Bingo.
Right.
We were learning from someone who knew it better than us, so we could improve our processes.
Was that
based on
around
what
the
they were
time
doing.
when you were doing that Stinger stuff?
Yep, and air-based
Yeah.
ground defense.
And that makes
Yeah.
sense. And that makes
So
sense.
that was a
For-
special duty for us.
Right.
For NTIs, dude, if you put Army NTIs to go train Space Force guys, oh man, they would just. Why would I want to join the Space Force then? Because they would just scare them all away. It's like no, it's like I joined the Space Force, I didn't join the Army.
But it's not separated, right? It's still all Air Force BMT, right? I mean, it's
No, they do have separate flights, so it is separated.
oh
so
no
if you're
kidding.
space,
Yeah.
the only people
Really?
that were going with the Air Force flights were the reservists and the guardsmen because technically they were Air
Oh.
Force.
Okay.
So they actually separated those guys. Like you're in 1 Charlie 6 and you're not 5 Sierra.
Do they all go to Lackland for basic training though? Is it still one location?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good.
I'm looking for Space Force to have its own base for basic training now.
Patrick,
They
Well,
talk about Patrick and Vandenberg. There's like 2 locations.
no, they're moving
So-
the RS. They're moving 100, and they're moving at least 200 and 300 down there, and their space 200 and 300 level are going down there, and
To
they're
where?
talking
And
about
then it's
basic
all enlisted
training.
now
Patrick,
at Vandenberg too, right?
Oh, no kidding. That'd be great. I'd rather
Yeah.
go to
Yeah.
Patrick.
And all enlisted training is going to be Vandenberg, and officer training is going to be at P.
So, anyway, not to take away from Captain Evans, Lieutenant Savage, and Lieutenant Jennings. Good job, guys. Good job.
Yeah,
Who was
okay.
doing your job when you weren't
Good
doing your job.
job.
But good job. Good job.
Okay.
We had
subtle jab.
Oh, the
Who was
hate,
doing
the
that
hate's
actual
just like
mission? We were dicking around. I don't know. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not
But
saying 3
good
other
on ya.
people had to pull off holiday
on ya.
just so you could go dick around in Ranger School. I'm not saying that. But
now,
If the shoe fits, baby.
hey,
Put the
Captain
effort on.
Evans. Captain Evans did have a quote at the end of that article saying, "Hey, one of the things about going through a course like this is you find out how far you can push yourself." And so I can take that back to my job. And when I just don't, when I think I can't go anymore, I use this training when I'm on a 12-hour shift. And I'm like,
to infinity and beyond.
It's so tough sitting here,
that's
man.
what I had to stop. That's what I had to
Tough
stop.
day, man.
12-hour shift as an engineer.
Can someone give me a cup of coffee for Christ's sakes? Come on.
Change this. I'm sick of watching this stupid TNT movie.
this
Tough
AC has been set to 72.
That is
all
blowing
week.
right here. That's why I'm wearing a blanket.
Right down my neck. I gotta wear a cardigan. I have a work cardigan, guys.
It's a good
Are
thing
we playing
I
this
went
game?
to this school so I can suck it up. Oh,
Who poured the coffee grounds down the
Real.
urinal? God damn it.
Now
Go to your
Jake,
happy
you were
place.
so Jake, you were part of a deployable mission. So was Marty in space. So would you now like on the serious talk, the Space Ranger training or any of this type of training when you guys did forward and deploy, was there any were you ever put in a situation where there is value to this training?
We weren't forward deployed.
Or not forward deployed, whatever.
No, we were
Yeah.
not forward deployed, right?
Oh,
No, we were the. I mean, we
We were in
deployed.
theater. Just put it that way. We were in theater.
It was a fucking R&R base for all the other branches,
Yeah, they all come to there. Yeah,
and we were.
right.
It's a 2-year accompanied tour now.
but I got you a medal, Jake, for going forward.
And it got him into the VFW. Shit, yeah, it did.
Yes. Hell yes.
No, my Kuwait time got me into the VFW, but
Oh, that's right. When you were okay. All right.
but
Well,
that
shit.
would have qualified me for that too.
Would it have really?
Wow.
So
Marty, did
no,
you
good
receive
question.
Combat pay?
I received some tax-free pay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Tax-free
yeah.
and
That's right. And combat.
hazardous duty pay.
Hazardous
I did
duty,
feel
yeah.
bad about that, but what am I going to do? Give it back?
I did not feel bad about that.
I
Fuck
didn't
all those
either.
army bastards.
Give it
I
to a
got it,
Qatari?
and I only had 2 pools at my base. It was horrible.
And a 3-drink minimum at 8 o'clock in the morning? That's
3-drink minimum.
Tough.
Only an indoor and an outdoor pool.
Tough.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, no, that's why I was really.
And the internet sucked, by the way. All right.
It was
Let me
tough.
tell you.
Oh
Couldn't
man, that's
stream
horrible.
shit. So
my internet sucks now.
So no,
I
I was
don't
always
have a
curious
pool.
about that the missions that you guys did. So I was just like chilling. It's like cool.
no,
Swimming pools.
fair.
Hey,
But we just had
yes.
to be in a footprint. That was it. That was the only. I mean, if they could have pushed us up to Spain, that would have been great. You know, we'd have stayed up there. So, but no, that's a good. That's a relevant question. But it's almost like, all right,
Wait,
here,
Marty, the
Depending-
first time I deployed with the Marty's unit, it was so dangerous we had to share a gun. That's how we literally had a 9mm that was the crew's 9mm,
Shivered a gun.
and I would get in there early and I would switch it out because we had a fat belt and a skinny belt, and I would switch the skinny belt out because it made my legs sweaty to wear the gun. That's how hard my deployment was.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's killing me.
All right, I won't go off on my weapons officer rant, but believe you me, I have a weapons officer rant loaded up. So, all right, let's blow through these. This is another intra-service story too. So the annual Best Warrior competition. Oh shoot, sorry, this was from dvidshub.net. Have you ever gone there? Dvids Hub. That's like Department of. That's like the the DOD's media department.
Okay.
Right?
Propaganda machine.
Yeah, propaganda machine. Navy beats Army in annual Best Warrior competition. So, I guess they have this at the U.S. Army John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center. They have a Best Warrior competition held every year, and it's different ranks, right? Lower, middle, senior enlisted, and officer. But this year, Hospital Corpsman First Class Michael O'Connell took first place in the non-commissioned officer category at this year's U.S. Army John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center. These names are ridiculous. U.S. Army John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center and School's Best Warrior competition held at Camp McCall, North Carolina, in April.
For Brad.
Sorry. You're such a dinosaur, Eric. You're such a dinosaur. So the best part of this whole story, right, is this. Now, remember, he's a medic. I don't know how much you guys have run into medics. Medics are, all right, here's for Jake and Juan. Medics are like ISAs. They're super smart and they're super funny, and they're just one step away from being crazy, I think. Right? That's how medics are.
I would agree.
So this hospital corpsman falls into that category. Thus, the mustache. Look at that mustache.
It's so good.
Wow.
And the guy's such a badass that
Gosh,
he's like,
dang it.
check me out, man. I'm
Dude,
busted,
the picture
right?
doesn't even look real.
Hey,
Almost,
Look,
yeah. It almost looks like
if
a
I
fake
were
one, right?
ovulating right now, I might get pregnant from that picture. I'm serious. Woo, that's stash right there.
He's got his
That
sleeves
puts-
rolled up, man. He's just
Well, and a lot of they do that through the course, right? They got to,
I
they're
mean, that
allowed to
mustache
do
must
that
have
as
its
they're
own
going
cost
through the
on it.
course, right?
Mm.
Oh yeah, right. That's that mustache would make Magnum.
It demands respect.
So O'Connell, who's a Special Operations Independent Duty Corpsman instructor with the Navy
Yeah, okay.
Special Operations
exactly
Medical Institute at the Joint Special Operations Medical Training Center, said he was
So he's
honored to be competing
familiar.
and showing his fellow Army service members that a guy from the Navy can hang with them. I was trained in Marine Corps reconnaissance and Marine Special Operations Command skill sets, so the tasks required of me during this competition were of a familiar and basic nature, O'Connell said. The competition is an Army event designed to test competitors' tactical and technical skills in marksmanship, combat casualty care, and land navigation, as well as challenge their physical fitness and endurance. So this guy, hospital corpsman, first class, they train medics to go out with special force, all the special ops, including MARSOC, including Berets, everywhere. So he's in that John F. Kennedy Center. So he's fit. He knows what he's doing. Part of the competition was combat casualty, which I'm sure he did much better than anybody else. So,
Dude, the mustache looks like a centipede stuck to his mouth.
So good, man.
It's all hairy and shit.
I got mustache envy right now.
now listen to this.
Here's
At
the
the
thing. He's not only a medic, a combat medic, which is impressive, right?
Navy,
but he's a combat medic that goes out with MARSOC.
Right. The Marines. It is. Marine Special Forces. So
yeah, that's Marine Special Forces.
He knows
and they don't
his
ever have
shit,
their
right?
own medical people, so he's
He may have
assigned
chuckled
to them.
at the Army's course.
maybe. I mean, there is a what is that? There's a medical badge that I think it's expert medical badge, like an EMB or something like that the medics can go through, and it's pretty rigorous course to earn that badge. So I just can't remember.
And then you get tattooed.
Maybe
Right? That's
a
what
guy with a mustache like that doesn't need a tattoo at all.
I want to see a tattoo of that helmet, just the helmet and the stash.
And his
That's
stash. That's right.
Boom.
That'll make an awesome sticker.
Yeah, just an outline. Yeah.
Yep.
At the awards ceremony following the competition, Command Sergeant Major Strong. This is at U.S. Army John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center. Senior enlisted leader awarded O'Connell with an Army Commendation Medal for his first place win. So you got an ARCOM out of that.
Nice.
Nice.
But yeah, that picture is awesome. I mean, it like I said, it almost looks like an actor playing a smart ass military guy.
Yep.
But
Well,
The
fair.
one thing is though, it's not the Navy. It's the Army's combat sport. So I don't know that any other branch should be competing in that.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know how he got involved. Maybe they did it as a joke or something. I don't know. Maybe he's the only one who wanted to do it.
Yeah.
You know? Maybe they come and ask every year, and they're like, "Fuck, I don't want to do this shit." This guy like, "I'll do it," and he smoked them all. Right? Maybe that's it. Okay, let's get to our last story. Which seems like you guys ever been into drones, right?
Played with them over the golf course.
Yeah, I bought a drone and I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. But I seen some of the videos of the first person drones. Have you seen those?
Oh,
Those are the
those drone
expensive ones.
pilots are
The $1,500 and up ones, right? Because they wear the glasses and they can see what the drone sees. So they go ape shit with it.
Red Bull's got their own drone team.
Yeah. That's right. That's
to
right.
follow like all the freaking mountain bikers and the race cars.
It's very, very cool. Yeah. And it's very technical. And those pilots are great, man. This is from Task and Purpose. The Army now has a small drone obstacle course, which sounds kind of frivolous until you hear the rest of the article. So
it's awesome.
Bear with me. Soldiers at Fort Moore are competing in the Army's first small drone competition with a wild obstacle course modeled off tactics and terrain of the war in Ukraine and threats American troops now may face in the Middle East. A new video posted to X by the Army's Maneuver Center of Excellence, or MCOE, at Fort Moore is shot from the drone's perspective, first-person view, or drone person view. You say as it flies through an obstacle course which was built as part of the Army's inaugural competition for drone flying skills and tactics dubbed the Beehive Classic. So this video is great.
This sounds like genuinely fun and like
yeah, but they use the beehive music. I hate the music that they still
No.
do. But here we go. This was on X.
Now that's cool as shit.
Yeah. And it seems frivolous. That's what I thought. I was like, oh, okay, you guys a couple lucky soldiers who get to go do this. No. But there's a tactical and realistic way that these skills will apply.
Underneath, over, above. That's wild.
And these things aren't bigger, I think, than like 8 inches maybe across, diameter. So I wish they hadn't stuck that music because that's annoying.
I think that's pretty cool. And
it's really
to get a drone and get eyes behind enemy troops.
Well, this is what
you may or may not have to do some crazy stuff.
You're right,
and move quickly.
So the tournament is called the Beehive Classic. It'll pit 9 two-soldiers teams in real-world scenarios using tactical drones like drone operations, attaching a payload harness, flying reconnaissance tactics, identifying the threats, and reporting them up to leadership. 2 soldier teams from each brigade will have 2 Skydio drones. I think that's how you pronounce it. Skydio drones to use for the competition. Skydio's drone is a ruggedized portable quadcopter based on an open and modular architecture. A scalable model and open architecture approach allows for continuous technology refreshes for requirements that include integration of a gimbaled thermal camera, secure data link, and government controller. The drone comes with a FLIR thermal sensor, strobe lighting, night flight capabilities, and has an endurance of 35 minutes. So you got forward-looking infrared. You got a thermal on there. You got secure comms, all in this thing, about this big. Okay, here's how the tournament goes. On day 1, soldiers will complete a physical event with push-ups and a sprint drag carry to simulate combat conditions and increase heart rates prior to using the equipment. Then they'll fly their drones through the obstacle course and maneuver into a building through open windows and doors to identify threats and gather intelligence. So these little fucking things are like zipping in, hovering, and then like zipping out. You're like, what the fuck? Right? And they got intel on you already.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
But on the other hand, I know of some technology that is now in existence that is using I can't go too far. Locating
satellites,
locating drivers of said drones and killing said drivers.
Space, like some props.
Oh
shit! I see.
Counter drone activities.
They're getting the RF tech, right?
And they can find them and kill them and their
scary
drone.
shit, man.
Yeah.
That's scary
So,
shit.
oh shit! Put my helmet on.
It's all fun and games until the bad guys get our toys.
That's right.
Well, yeah, artillery was great until they came out with counter battery radar, and they're like, "Oh, you know exactly where we're shooting from? Shit, that sucks."
That's got to be mobile.
So
that's
that
what was
day,
cool about Stinger: launch and run. Launch and run,
right? Yeah, there's nothing tethering you, right?
Nope,
there's
you
nothing
gotta
control.
run.
So that day 1 pairs it down. On day 2, the top 5 teams will run through the Airborne and Ranger Training Brigades obstacle course, the same course used in the annual Best Ranger competition. And then soldiers will configure their drones to conduct short-range reconnaissance, attach payloads, attach payloads to the drones, and drop them into a vehicle hatch. Shit.
That's cool.
Wait. I love how that is attached payloads.
Yeah, payloads.
To a drone
like a
and
MRE or
drop them
something.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, an MRE. That's right, Marty.
A
That's
cupcake.
what it is.
That's right. We're dropping you a cupcake in your tank. Here you
Just
go.
a little post-it note.
A hand grenade. Boink, boink.
That's exactly it.
I
You
mean,
know damn well it's a fucking C4 or a hand grenade.
right. I mean, these guys are out there like, fuck, it's hot in here. Hey, pop a hatch, man. And you're like, what is that buzzing noise? You're like, bink.
Goodbye.
That's crazy to think that we'll get there, right?
That's crazy.
Uh,
That's pretty cool, though.
During the competition, soldiers will face various obstacles like a sniper on a tower, a downed helicopter, and a scenario where they will drop a munition onto a vehicle. They'll also have a scenario in a small village where the teams will use the drones to identify threats in a room, like enemy personnel with weapons, booby trap doors, trip wires with grenades, unexploded ordnances, or find intel sources such as maps and documents.
Hmm.
You know, I
That's
wonder
cool.
how long does that thing have to loiter to get a good picture? Is it like, zzz,
Well,
and that's it, and
yeah,
that's enough? And
Think
that's
about the
enough?
cameras in our vehicles now that are so crystal clear.
Yeah.
So I
fair.
can only
Yeah.
imagine that thing's got to be immediate. You can take.
I mean, imagine it's night and these terrorists are sacked out, and this guy comes in with fucking thermals and infrared, and they're like, oh, there's 5 guys over here, there's 2 guys over here, 1 guy jacking off over in the corner. I'm out of here.
That's
What
exactly it.
Jesus.
I mean, they can see it all, and they're like, "What is that buzzing noise? Just shut that off!" Right?
Amazing.
Major Douglas A. Dietrich, Deputy G3 for MCOE and Project Manager for Small Unmanned Aircraft Systems, said, quote, they'll identify those before a clearing team will go into those rooms. So they'll send the drone in before you send breachers in, right? They'll help the leadership determine the best way to enter the buildings and how to avoid the threats and eliminate the threats.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty, and that's all that competition is designed for what they plan to do out on the battlefield.
Sure. That's amazing.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty
I
cool.
like it.
Amazing.
Saving the life of a soldier is good shit, man.
With a kid's toy,
Yeah.
you know. I mean,
Toy.
but all you got to do is what we talked about the other week, right? The one-way drone. I mean, why
Yeah.
go in and get intel? They're just like, boop. You know,
Boom.
here you go. Here's a 100-pound bomb on this thing. Who
Sling
needs
it.
to go in now? All right, Eric. What do you got for history today?
Woo. It's a good one.
I love how Eric does this. Like,
It's a
woo, it's
good
hot,
one.
hot, hot.
Brother,
He's
is so
pumping
hot.
himself up. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an amazing history event tonight.
welcome to history class, boys.
It's off
So-
the charts.
So, as you all know, we had such great relations in the 1960s with Russia, right? No Cold War. It was just true friends. So we were never collecting intelligence on them.
That's
but,
sarcasm, folks. That's sarcasm.
Yes, I'm sorry. In the USSR, captured American U-2 pilot Francis Gary Powers is sentenced to 10 years imprisonment for his
Oh, this
confessed
was his sentencing today?
espionage. No, not complete. I'm just giving you some pre-going here. On May
Sorry,
1st,
I'm jumping
Hold
the
your
gun.
horses.
yeah,
I know.
May 1st,
He got me all psyched up. I was just trying to get
May
through.
1st, 1960, Powers took off from Pakistan at the controls of an ultra-sophisticated Lockheed U-2 high-altitude reconnaissance aircraft. A CIA-employed pilot, no less. He was to fly over some 2,000 miles of Soviet territory to a military airfield in Norway, collecting intelligence information en route. Roughly halfway through his journey, he was shot down by the Soviets over Sverdlovsk. I can't pronounce this. Sverdlovsk in the Ural
That's
Mountains.
right.
Sverdlovsk. Yeah. Now listen to this. I didn't know this part. Forced to bail out at 15,000 feet.
God damn. That's
Right?
a long way up.
He survived
It's
the
gonna be cold.
parachute jump, but was promptly arrested by Soviet authorities.
Yeah.
On May 5th, Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev announced that the American spy aircraft had been shot down, and 2 days later revealed that Powers was alive and well and had confessed to being on an intelligence mission for the CIA. So on today, May 7th, 1960, the United States acknowledged that the U-2 had probably flown over Soviet territory, but denied it had been authorized as a mission. On 16 May, leaders of the United States, the USSR, Britain, and France met in Paris. Bite me, Jake. Met me in Paris
No, you're good.
for a long-awaited summit meeting. The four powers were to discuss tensions in the two Germanys and negotiate new disarmament treaties. However, at the first session, the summit collapsed as President Eisenhower refused to apologize to Khrushchev for the U-2 incident. Khrushchev then also canceled an invitation for Eisenhower to visit the USSR. May 7th, 1966, boys.
That was
And-
awesome.
I was awesome. I was laughing about the denied that they were affiliated with it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, they
It's
actually
a
brought...
U.S. contractor. maybe he was going rogue. He was going crazy.
It's almost
US
like they were going to cut
contractor.
him loose, right? They were like, that wasn't.
But in
Yeah.
a fucking U-2.
Well, you know what they
can't-
did?
Like,
They actually brought out another U-2 and put all kinds of NASA stickers on it and said that it was gathering intelligence on other things. And here's the stickers on this U-2 to show that it wasn't CIA operated. So, and by the way, he pled guilty to espionage charges in Moscow and was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment.
he was getting purple nurpled for 48 hours straight.
Man.
I would say
course.
it too.
Of course, I would have given him
Right.
anything to do.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
fucking have it, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the
CIA's
odd
going
thing,
to leave me here.
the odd thing I remember about that story is that one of the reasons that he did it because we didn't think the Soviets could shoot down that high. How high
Yep,
was he?
exactly.
I can't remember. What'd you
I
say
don't
the
have
altitude was? Oh, because he
Well,
was.
he,
I mean,
he survived the
U-2
parachute jump of 15,000.
Right, but he was
higher.
flying so high that they didn't think the Soviets could shoot him down. And all I remember is I don't remember the name of the munition or whatever, but they were like, it's the size of a telephone pole. Do you remember that description
Well,
of
yeah.
the SAM that they used to shoot it down? I was like, telephone pole. That's all.
The
That's all I got.
U-2 is
a telephone
right
pole.
there on the edge of the atmosphere, right? The U-2 flies.
It's pretty
and
high.
they have to wear those special helmets and everything.
Right.
So radar detected or satellite detected? I don't know. 1960?
Well, they could detect him,
Radar?
but they didn't think they could shoot him down.
Mhm.
Okay.
But
So
the
radar
Soviets were
detected
like, "Hey,
Yeah,
check
they-
this SS out," and they're like, "We got him." Right? So it was a bad intelligence failure actually by us.
Big time.
So.
And Power suffered for it, that's for sure.
Nice, very good. All right,
Right on.
you continue to impress me with surprises. Here, man. You really do. Are we at end up, fellas? Are we at end up? I mean, Jake,
Yep.
I don't want to push his time here. Obviously, Teapot
my time.
bailed on us. You know, he was like, I can't be on for an hour and a half tonight. You know, I got people coming over and I got to take a shit. So. Doesn't that cover about 6 of his last time?
That's valid.
That's valid.
Hey, you know, I'm sitting here in my closet, and just a final note, right? This was a souvenir. I don't know if it's
that looks
appropriate
fun.
right now.
That looks like it's from Doha.
You're
That's
protesting.
Doha?
You're protesting. Oh,
Oh.
you're seriously protesting.
I was
It's a
like,
good thing you can't read anything on those things because
Oh yeah, I got the green one.
how many
that
did you
was
get?
A deployment.
Okay.
These are souvenirs.
Yeah, right.
I just got that as, but the green one was issued. I was like, oh, okay.
OD Green.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That one's okay though, right? The green one is okay.
Yeah, sure. I don't know.
Just
I
not
mean,
the white and red.
Well, it depends on who you're fitting in with.
Some Israeli Jewish guys
I-
outside low crawling right now. I'm going to kill
Cold
that son of
mornings.
a-
Cold mornings on the motorcycle. That's what I'm doing,
Oh,
honestly.
that shit is invaluable. Yeah. hell
Yeah, these scarves are amazing. But
Maybe not now.
Maybe if we did that type of podcast, it is unreal
Oh.
what's going on in the country right now. It's
yeah.
wait,
unbelievable.
next day, I'm rapping full on.
Actually, I'll be down to your house. And I'm like,
Look
hey,
at
can I get one of these so I can blend in?
Yep. You want
Oh,
And then
you
put some
want
big
red?
sunglasses
Have you
on.
done the Hajj yet? That's red. No Hajj? That's white.
oh my goodness.
That's
Who
what
was
it
the
is.
leader growing up who always seemed to wear the tablecloth? What was that guy's name?
Oh, he was a Palestinian.
Was
Had
it
the hat
Arafat?
on. Yes.
Was it Arafat?
Little short guy.
Yeah, I
Hat,
was like,
and wore
Gaddafi.
it wore around his
Gaddafi.
hat.
that's an Italian
Arafat.
pizza place tablecloth, isn't it? What's
Yasser?
going on there?
Yes, sir.
It wasn't Yasser Arafat, was it?
Well, I don't know. That's what I mean. I'm
I
not
thought
sure
it
if
was
that
Gaddafi. Gaddafi.
Yeah, maybe it was Gaddafi.
Gaddafi was dark black hair.
What? No. I'm talking about the headdress or whatever.
That's who
Yeah.
it was. It's Yasser Arafat, guys. I got his picture
Okay.
right here.
Nice. All right.
Yasser. He died in 2004 at 75, by the way.
Oh, look at you.
Sir.
You were just spitting facts.
Today?
man.
Is this
I
for our
love
history? No.
No,
it. He's just spitting facts, man.
I have to keep my term. History guy. History guy.
I know. Like, look, he can't answer like a bare scrub of the actual history thing.
He's
You're
throwing
like,
facts out
Eric,
by Yasser Arafat.
what altitude do they? Ooh, do
can't tell
not
you.
ask him that.
Detailed.
Yasser Arafat's birthday, 14 weeks from now. He would have been 86.
2004.
Died in 2004, though.
Yep, 75.
And he was
What
a
the
Pisces.
75, he woke up at 95.
Buried with his
It's
headdress on.
2024.
Oh my god.
What
Oh,
altitude does the U-2 put? Whoa. Marty.
Come on now.
I love this group. On behalf of all of us here, I'd like to thank you for listening today. Please like, share, subscribe, and let us know how we did in the comments. Please be gentle in the comments. I got some comments. that are not
Don't
gentle.
be gentle.
Make sure next week that you are not late for changeover. Man, thanks for the week, and I'll see you next week.
All right.
Right on, right on.